Hello. All right.
This one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Walker Anderson, and this is a reintroduction to Vue.js. I'm calling it a reintroduction because I gave an introduction to Vue.js last year. This is a very short, quick and dirty presentation, so I'm not going to jump into any code or go into any detail about the boilerplates or anything like that. Just a quick overview. So this is a slide that I threw up the last time I gave the presentation. It follows the model view model architecture pattern. It's very view layer oriented like React is. You'll notice that I put an asterisk next to the word library. That's because we are no longer calling it a library, we're now calling it a progressive framework. So what does that mean? The core library is very small and lightweight, and as your app grows in complexity, the framework grows in complexity as well as you add on additional libraries and plugins. A few examples: Vue router, I think we all know what a router is. Vue resource is a plugin that helps you, or a library that helps you support RESTful architecture. So if you want to pull data off a server or write to a server, you can use Vue resource. Vue loader is a plugin for Webpack. I'm like a huge fan of Vue loader. It makes building Vue components super easy. And then Vuex is a library for helping you to manage state, similar to Elm or Redux. So I said that I wasn't going to go into any code, but this is about as far as I'm going to go into it. I wanted to show you this slide because I wanted to show you how simple a Vue component is. You've got a template in the data, and inside your data property, you have an object. And in that object, you have a property called message. And that property message is bound to the template using either curly braces or double curly braces, depending on whether you're doing one-way binding or two-way binding. And that's about as simple as it is right there. Super easy. So Vue.js versus the leading brand. Well, that could be a presentation in itself if you want to compare it to other frameworks. But if you want to get started, you can start at the Vue.js.org website. On the guide, they have a pretty extensive comparison guide there if you want to compare Vue to React or Angular or your favorite framework. That's a good place to start. Or you can go to Stack Overflow or do a Google search, and there's tons of stuff out there. So if you want to get started developing an app with Vue, I would recommend, rather than building your own boilerplate, there's quite a few that are available on GitHub. GitHub.com, Vue.js, Vue.cli is where you'll find them. And just download one of those and fork it or customize it, and you're off and running. So you don't have to waste your time building your own boilerplate. Just grab one of these. Okay, so the good parts of Vue.js: it's reactive, like React. It's component-based. It's modular. It's got simple-to-use animations right out of the box, and it's super easy to learn. Okay, so this is another slide that I threw up the last time I gave this presentation. And I said that the bad part of Vue was that it was basically a personal project of Evan You, and there wasn't much of a community out there supporting it, and there were no enterprise heavy hitters supporting it. So There was perhaps the concern that it might just go away or fade into oblivion, but no longer the case. Enterprise users, Alibaba, I think we've all heard of them. Baidu, Tencent, Line Corp, Nintendo, Sainsbury's, which is apparently a grocery store chain in Great Britain, as well as several unicorns, DJI, Xiaomi, LME, Didi, Zhangji. You might notice that most of these companies are Chinese. That's because Evan Yu, the founder, is Chinese, and he's very active in the Chinese JavaScript community. But it is growing in popularity and spreading out. It's very popular in Japan now, and it's starting to catch on. How many developers are using Vue now? Okay, so this is as of August 2016, this little screen capture here. This is the Vue.js plugin for Chrome DevTools. And as of August 2016, we had 36,596 people have downloaded this plugin. So it's getting pretty popular.
Now 160,000.
Is it 160 now? Okay. 160? Wow. Okay, and open source projects using Vue, Laravel, GitLab, PageKit. All right. So if you want to get started learning Vue.js, Laravel has these Laracasts, which are these tutorials, video tutorials. These are excellent, and it's a really good way to get started with Vue. So you start with that, and also go to the Vue.js.org website. So start with those two things, and you'll be off and running. You can also check up with Evan Yu's blog, blog.evanyu.me, to see what's the latest news in Vue.js. And that's it. That's all the slides I have. If you have any questions.
You said that Laravel is using Vue. Is that like when you start a new Laravel project, Vue comes out of the box?
Well, they're partnering up with Vue, but these Vue, these Laravel Laracasts are available to anyone. Like you don't have to be a Laravel user. In fact, when you get to the part where they start integrating Laravel, you can just bail out. But the first few chapters are very good for just learning about Vue. Yeah. Here, let me go back to that. Here we go. It's GitHub. It's on GitHub. GitHub.com, Vue.js, Vue CLI. They got one for. I would recommend Webpack, but you can try Browserify if you want to.
So,
Yeah.
what was your decision tree that led you to Vue?
So we were decided that we were going to redo the Front Authority website, and we're like, okay, let's use some cool framework, and we're like, yeah, let's use React or Angular or something, and then we're like, well, no, let's use like some little lightweight framework that no one's ever heard of before. Let's use Vue. It's like, okay, and then we just kind of ran off and learned about it and got started with it. And then at that time, it was very small, and there were very few users, and no companies were using it. And since that time, a lot has changed. Now it's a legit, framework.
So, are you using this Vue at work or at your personal project?
I use them on my personal projects. Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you're doing it like enterprise, like if you're Amazon.com, I don't know if you want to use Vue, but for smaller scale apps, it's excellent.
Do you know where Vue fails for a large scale app?
Well, it doesn't have lifecycle methods, but other than that, I don't see, you know, you can use Vuex for doing your state management, and you have a router, and you have just about everything available to you that all the other frameworks have. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is it doesn't have the lifecycle methods that React has. But if we're doing something like the front-end authority website, we don't need lifecycle methods, right? You know.
So are there any prefab components that are out there using Vue that you've taken advantage of?
There- Well, now that there's like big companies using it, I'm sure there are. Like if you just started like reusable components that somebody's already done and you don't want to do it yourself,
Right.
like a library somebody's developed.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is, but it wouldn't surprise me when you have companies like Alibaba using it and Nintendo.
I also want to add one quick thing.
Yeah.
There's also a San Diego company called Tipsy Elves in downtown San Diego that's actually using it or starting to use it into their product line. So if you're into fancy sweaters or shopping carts and all that stuff, you can also check them out too. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Oh yeah. Also one more thing. They also post or there's a weekly San Diego Vue.js meetup out in downtown hosted by them as well. So if you're also into checking how they use something in production or in a company of sorts that deals with e-commerce transactions with weird sweaters, go for it.
Mhm.
What's the name of the website?
Tipsy Elves.
Tipsy
Elves.
Elf.
Tipsy Elf.
Tipsy
Like
Elf.
a
Doesn't lose
like
my
a drunk elf.
Okay, don't tell.
Mhm.
Tipsy Elves.
Not meetup there in
Yeah.
San Diego, Vue.js meetup.
Yeah, check out the user guide on Vue.js.org. I mean, there's a wealth of information in there. It'll probably answer any question you can think of.
Here we go, tacky Christmas sweater.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I think they started that with on the show Shark Tank or something.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody? Thanks, Mark.
All right.